Hey there, friends. What is up? I'm Chris Ewing, educator, fabricator, and Green Lantern aficionado. Yeah, even after the movie. Calm down. Look, my friends over at Weld.com sent me this awesome Everlast PowerPro 205 SI to unbox and put it through its paces and let you know how it goes. So let's get into it. Ooh, I can start to see some green.
Poor cardboard box. You served your purpose.
What can I say? I'm destructive when I'm opening this stuff. Open up. Here we have all our analog dials with our digital display. We've got our pressure gauge there. Let us know how much air is coming in for the plasma cutter portion of it. So it looks like we've got our 2T and 4T torch trigger options here. So we've got our start amps and our end amps. We've got our upslope and our downslope. Now, if we're going to use this 2T with a foot pedal, we're going to want to make sure that we put all these all the way down to their minimums, except for maybe the start amps. If you want a little bit hotter start, we can adjust that one a little bit. But otherwise, when we're using a foot pedal, we're going to want to adjust these all the way back down. If we're using a finger trigger, this allows us a start amps and upslope to our peak amps, and then a downslope down to our ending amp. So that's real helpful if you're not going to be using the foot pedal. Maybe you're welding a roll cage and you got to get in some really funky locations or something. We have our gas pre-flow and post-flow analog knobs here. We have our pulse frequency, pulse amps. So this is the ratio of pulse amps. Let's see, we have our frequency and cleaning percentage for AC. I have ADD, so I'm just adjusting these all straight up and down right now. When we actually get to welding stuff, obviously we're going to make some adjustments to that. So cool. Let's see what comes in the accessory package. So right on top here, we have our plasma torch. It's got a little safety on here. That's pretty cool. Seems fairly robust. It's got this drag guard on there. So that allows us to actually put that torch right down on the material as we're making our cut without burning up our consumables. So that's pretty cool. So we have the fore and aft handles for the machine and that mid handle. Now this machine is designed to be moved all around. Here we have our work clamp. It's got that DINS 35 style connector. Ooh, that seems, get a hand workout. Yep, getting it in. In this nice plastic bag here, we've got our TIG torch. It is the 26 style TIG torch. That means this one is capable of handling up to 200 amps, even without a liquid cooler. Here we've got our finger switch for that 2T control. If you don't want to use the foot pedal, you've at least got that finger switch ready to go. It's all bubble wrapped up, but we have our electrode holder, sometimes called a stinger. All right, so we got a tube here that I'm going to assume is for the air input for the plasma cutter portion of this. Now, it does also come with this collector. So anytime we're using a plasma cutter of any kind, we want to make sure that our air is as dry as possible. Having any kind of moisture or oil in the line will cause damage to your consumables for sure, and likely damage the internals of the machine as well. So you want to make sure that your air is as dry as possible. So this doesn't replace a dryer. This is that last ditch before the compressed air enters the plasma cutter. If there are any droplets left in the line, this is designed to just collect those before they damage your machine. So super nice of them to include this in the package. Here we see the Nova NWI FP-22 series foot pedal. So this is the more traditional way, I'd say, of running a TIG torch. All right, so we've got our screws to attach our handles on there. We have another gas line here, which I would assume, don't assume, read your owner's manual. is for our argon regulator here. Now, if you're gonna be using the TIG welder, pure argon is the most common shielding gas we use. And then we've got our, I called it a regulator, it's actually a flow meter. Let's talk about the purpose of this particular machine. Like we said, it's a TIG welder that will do both AC and DC TIG. So we can do aluminum welding with it, no problem. It's also a stick welder. So you get into a situation where, look, I'm not sure what machine I'm going to need to bring to this job site. It's nice to have one that's going to be able to do the light duty TIG welding or some aluminum if you need it. But also if you need to lay down some beads, and you have the opportunity to stick weld with it as well. And then you got some compressed air nearby. You're going to cut a little bit, weld some, cut a little bit, weld some. I can't stress enough that this is not your primary plasma cutter. If you're going to be doing production level work, if you've got maintenance to do, if you're taking it to, like I said, job sites here and there where cutting is a portion of it, you know, up to 3/8, maybe 1/2 inch material, then sure, this will do it. You can use this machine every single day to do that, but keep in mind that at its max 50 amp output, the plasma cutter has a duty cycle of about 35%. The stick welding capabilities are also a duty cycle of 35% at its max of 160 amps for stick welding. Along those stick welding lines, this is not designed to use the 6010 rod. You can use 6011, no problem. 7018, they even recommend using 7014 for your general fabrication purposes. But then at its maximum 200 amp output for TIG welding, it's got a duty cycle of 60%. So that's pretty baller, if you ask me. Okay, so here we are plugged in, ready to go. Again, work clamp is on the negative side, which I have connected to the back of the table there. Our electrode is on the positive side. You can see the little plus right there. Let's power it up. The power switch for these Everlast machines is usually on the back side right here. Now while we're back here, we can see that we do have this accessory plug for a water cooler should we choose to use one. So that's back there. And then we also have a grounding lug and our gas inlet. So that same gas port has to be used for our plasma cutter and for our shielding gas for TIG welding. There are T connectors or Y connectors out there that we can put on there to attach both at the same time. Well, the sample I'm going to do is some 3/16 with a 1/8 7018 Lincoln electrode. It's the Lincoln Excalibur. So we're going to go ahead and set it to, say, 110 amps. Again, we're right around 25-30% on our arc force or dig, which it says up at the top here. Very nice. Very nice, 7018. All right, next up, I'm gonna try some 6011 rod on here. So, like before said, we're gonna crank this up to about 75% arc force, and we're gonna bring our amperage down to, let's say 85 amps or so. There we go. Let's run it. All right, so as we said before, our stick welding, DCEP, our TIG welding is going to be DCEN. So we're going to remove our electrode holder altogether, and then we are going to move our work clamp to the positive side. Here we go with our TIG torch, again with our finger switch on here. Not too familiar with the finger switch side of things, haven't used it too often, but we're going to go through all the settings on this thing, check it out. So for our shielding gas, we've got this quick connect. Plug in our switch, and it is keyed, so we want to make sure that is facing the bottom. There we go. Ooh, that was a nice connection. Step number 1, we're going to change our process selection from stick welding over to TIG welding. It automatically put me in the 4T, which is what I'm going to need for the finger control. I'm going to leave my pulse off. I'm doing 1/8 inch material, so 100 amps sounds good. And if it's too hot, well, then I guess I'll have to stop. I'm going to leave my starting amps down at 5, and we'll say my end amp's still down at 5. We'll go right here, so 2.5 seconds of upslope, 10 seconds or so of downslope, maybe a second of pre-flow, about 6 seconds of post-flow for doing the steel here. Okay, we're going to try TIG welding some aluminum now. Got it set to 126 amps. I'm going to start with the pulsar off. I've got my AC frequency at 120 hertz and my balance roughly 25%. Now, keeping in mind that is the DC positive leg. Welcome back to the back of the PowerPro unit. We're going to go ahead and get our collector / regulator attached. Now to get this assembled up to this point with the airline in and the hose and everything, go ahead and download that manual online. That's going to have all the instructions for this part. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and take the plastic nut off of the top here. I'm going to slide this up from underneath, and we're going to make sure we're gentle. We don't cross thread anything. And then once we've got it started, it should spin down pretty quickly. And we'll go ahead and snug that up pretty good there. All right, nice and solid on the back of the machine there. Let's go ahead and connect our airline to the machine itself. And of course, want to hand tighten that to begin with. Also, get it right there, and then we'll go ahead and snug it up a little. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and attach the plasma torch and press the trigger with the air flowing. We're going to go ahead and set the pressure on the front of the machine. Now we do this, we're going to lift up this little tab, and then we can rotate it clockwise or counterclockwise, depending if we need to decrease or increase the pressure going to the plasma torch. And then once you've got it where you want, between 65 and 72 PSI, go ahead and press that down, and that's going to lock that in place so that we don't accidentally bump it or change the pressure accidentally. Go ahead and hook up our airline, and we're all set back here. Even with the machine off, our pressure regulator is going to read what we want. So we want to remove our foot pedal, remove our quick connect, and then in comes our plasma cutter. All right, so our DINS connector goes into the negative side, just like when we were TIG welding. We're going to leave our work clamp on the positive side. We'll go ahead and connect our quick connect. This wire that we weren't really sure where it went before, there's a little knob screw right here. That guy is going to go right there. All right, let's see how it cuts. I mean, look at that cut. Beautiful. That little bit of slag just wipes right off. Nothing on the back side there. I mean, I couldn't ask for much better than that. All right, friends, there you have it, the Everlast PowerPro 205 SI. It does TIG, it does stick, it does plasma cutting, TIG weld aluminum, pulse welding. This is kind of a beast of a little machine. So if you're in the market for something that does those 3 processes at around a $1,500 price point with an awesome warranty, I'd say look no further than this Everlast machine. Well, keep your eyes open for that Weld.com app. And until next time, hope this helps.